Started. Hi guys. So I don't know if you guys were able to see any of the videos that I made post leadership in Dream Court, but there's a lot of awesome details in those live videos that I made talking about some of the programs that are coming out. Shanti's, they went into in-depth about Control Freak. I wasn't too sure about Control Freak because I've only seen the sizzle reel, and I feel like the sample workout that they did at Summit didn't really it didn't do it justice. And so after seeing the sizzle reel and learning about why Autumn's doing this program, talking about density training, which I just geek out on anything that has to do with science. And sometimes when I was new, it was kind of like, show up, do this workout because you're going to get in shape and whatever. And so when I start learning more about the behind the scenes stuff, about why they make workouts, how they work, how they're different, that's kind of when I get really excited. So between like 30-day breakaway, I know Shanti did this dance/workout program because TikTok and Instagram dances are so popular right now. So it's just cool to see that we're coming out with a lot of different things. New meditation. There is some top secret consumable product that they're coming out with in the summertime that they'll announce at Summit, I believe. So I don't know what that is. So anytime we have new stuff, it's just reinvigorating. And so Candace and I got to hear from some of the top leading coaches that are always inspiring me. And I was just going through my notes this morning. I'm a little behind. My parents just left like an hour ago, flying back to Boston, but and I'm still sick, so sorry. But I didn't realize, this is my first time going back over my notes, really how much information we got. So I was like, how do I share what I want to share with you guys, but also, not just reiterate like some boring training or something. So I asked Candace to also come on and kind of share her takeaways. And her and I have been chatting about like, what was it like in the beginning when I was a new coach and when she was a new coach. And I know like a lot of the OGs like Janelle, Britt's been around for a while, Haley, like we all were so good at mastering our mindset in the beginning and even understanding what mindset is and how perspective and views and thoughts. Okay, Candace, I will let you know. Thank you. We were just going back to the beginning of kind of that's how it started. And I loved that leadership wasn't just talking about like Beachbody stuff. It was really talking about things that apply to our everyday life. So yes, I feel like I even said to Candace, I said, I got so burnt out on teaching mastering your mindset that I myself almost had to go through like a whole second wave of learning and leadership and personal struggles, where now I feel like I need to master my mindset 2.0, because this year has just been so challenging. This week just threw me even more stuff. My poor mom broke her wrist, needed surgery. Like, it's just never freaking ending. And so it actually happened when I was on leadership on the call. So I was asking myself, like, what do I need to do to level up and how can we help the team? So Candace and I and some of the other leaders were talking about maybe doing Wisdom Wednesdays. And so Facebook brought back, I think, I could be wrong, the dual lives where you can bring someone on live again, in a Facebook group. So I'm thinking that I might pull some of the leaders that love talking about mindset, because we can talk about business and trainings and inviting and Success Club and, sorry, hold on. There's a good chance I'll die halfway through talking. This cold is kicking my ass. It's not COVID though, so that's good. I already lost my train of thought. Yeah, Wisdom Wednesdays. So I was thinking of like having one of the leaders come on and just share, because I feel like that's what filled our cups up in the beginning. And we, on our leadership calls, we heard from Lindsay Matway, who's like the queen of perseverance and overcoming struggle and always, someone's in the waiting room, always overcoming things. Like, her story is so big, so deep, so wide, and she's been through so much. It's really impressive to see what she's been through. And she closed out leadership just reminding us of what we're capable of. We heard from Kim Fitzpatrick talking about how she creates more working coaches through challenge groups. So I'm telling you guys all this because there's so much that we learned, and it was really hard for me to figure out what exactly I wanted to talk about. So I figured there's a couple things that I would share with you guys because I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't share it with you. But the majority of it, I think Candace and I are going to talk about some mindset stuff. So, okay, so this is like mindset stuff. BOD groups. So I was really excited for BOD groups when it came out, and then it launched, and I was really disappointed. And there have been a lot of updates that make me excited. And so I decided to lead by example, challenge myself, get out of my comfort zone, because my virtual wellness studio, or I should say our virtual wellness studio that I have with a bunch of the other coaches on my team, is crushing it. I've been a coach 7 years, and it took me like 5 years to come up with a community that was showing up and that was excited and growing and that were like-minded people. So when BOD groups came out, I was like, oh, I don't want to like change everything. And here's my big but. I know the live video isn't the best quality. You might get less engagement in a BOD group because there's how many times do you have a group and people, they see all your posts, if you check in with a client, you're like, hey, are you seeing my post? They're like, oh yeah, I read all your posts, but they don't necessarily click like, or they don't comment or engage on it. And so they found that, yeah, in BOD groups, you don't necessarily always get the best engagement. But here's what caught my eye. Danielle Natoni and Brittany Leggett came on to talk about BOD groups, and they said, if you're running your groups on Facebook, you don't own that. Like at any time, Facebook could close that group and all that hard work that you've put in could be gone. And it's the same thing with if you have an Instagram page. And so we don't own our Facebook groups. We don't own our Instagram pages. And so it is kind of like a safety to start transitioning to BOD groups. And so I was thinking maybe sorry, I need to cough. Hold on.
While you're coughing, I want to say, can you guys hear me? Am I glitching? Is it good? Good. Okay. Oh, I feel like I'm glitching now.
Sorry.
Shit, man.
I can't hear you.
Good? How about now?
Can you guys hear Candace?
Yeah.
You can hear Candace.
Brittany said kind of half-ass. About the BOD groups thing, what she was saying was, that we measure success differently. Like we are taking our Facebook group parameters and we're putting them on BOD groups, and it's just not the same thing. So we can't measure a BOD group's success the same way we measure a Facebook group success, because they are two completely different platforms. And this is what really stood out to me, is that she said, activity is logging, is someone just logging and showing up. Like that is a successful BOD group. But in our Facebook, we're like, oh, if they're not posting and constantly talking on every post and everything, then it's not successful. And we were applying that same idea of how we run a Facebook group to how we run a BOD group. And I think that if we can realize like those are two separate platforms, and then we define successful groups differently between the two, that it's going to make a huge difference for us in feeling like our BOD groups aren't failures. Because I know for me, I've been doing them and I'm like, oh, they're a failure. Oh, there's not enough engagement. Oh, there's not this. But when she said that, it really was a light bulb for me of like, my BOD group is not a Facebook group, and I've been treating it like it should be, and it's not. So I think if we can reframe our mindset of, okay, what makes a successful BOD group? People actually logging. So we go in there and we see like a ton of people are logging, right? That's success. That's a successful BOD group, right? So like they're different. So I just wanted to bring that up because I felt like that was a huge mindset shift for me, and being like, whoa, I've been looking at this and expecting it to act like something that it's not, when in reality we're sitting on like a gold mine here. We're just maybe using it wrong, or, not to the best of our ability. So that's all I wanted to add because it was important.
That's honestly like the best point that they made about BOD groups. Like as soon as they started saying that, Candace and I were messaging each other like, yep. So I feel like this is where the mindset stuff comes in, right? Just exactly what Candace said, thinking about it different. And I'm so thankful that those two top coaches came in. Oh, people in the waiting room. Those people reminded us, because if I didn't hear how it was working for them, and if we didn't hear those points, I still would be like, nah, BOD groups isn't for me. And so it's just always a reminder to be open-minded, to trying new things. And it's funny.
she took the aspect too of the fact that we truly don't own any Facebook stuff. And so I think it's still cool to have the Facebook groups. I enjoy it, but having the bod groups in addition as a place that we know is never going to go anywhere. So if something happens or, you know, a glitch happens and you're locked out of your Facebook account, you're not locked out of your entire customer base of like, cool, I can't support my people now because they're all on Facebook in this group and I can't access it. You know, like that would stress me out. At least we always have, you know, the bod group to fall back in, like, hey, like this is not going anywhere because we, you know, as Team Beachbody own it. So I hope that like that really stood out to me too when they said that. I was like, oh shit, what would I do if my group accidentally got deleted? Like, I don't know.
I mean, of course we never want to like think that's going to happen, but we always have to be realistic because I mean, I'm in the leader pages and every day a top coach is getting locked out because she scheduled a bunch of posts. And for some reason, Facebook does not like a lot of scheduled posts. And so, you know, we do that in our Facebook community. And so it's just like a little red flag. So it's just, I wanted to share that with you guys, get the wheels turning, because I haven't been 100% committed to it. And the other thing too, is that they ran some data because everything is data. I don't know if you guys have been hearing Kim Fitzpatrick talk about everything is data. And I think that the percentage, I don't have it in front of me, was anywhere from 28 to 38% of people that were in bod groups were on nutritionals because they're seeing Shakeology logged. And in a Facebook group, unless you post about it or talk about it or ask about it, it's not necessarily logging. And so I do think that we can bring a new wave. It's going to be that learning curve though, because as a leader of a challenge group, you want to see the likes and the comments and the engagement and all that. And so I'm so glad Candace brought that up. It's going to look different and it's going to take a little bit of training on our mindset. I personally had to get over that the live video wasn't good. It's probably going to improve. I don't know if you guys remember when Beachbody On Demand came out, because we used to be DVDs. We all were like, Beachbody On Demand? Absolutely not. You're going to ruin Beachbody, blah, blah, blah. Like, we were just like hating on Beachbody On Demand. And here we are, like, we couldn't live without it, right? Okay, so that's bod groups. What else was I going to say about bod groups? Oh, if you guys aren't sure if you want to switch your challenge group over to bod groups, if you're not too familiar, here's what I've been doing for the month of October. I made a new coach university and I have my new coaches in there and I'm just doing like some educational posts, some check-in posts to make sure like, hey, are you guys watching National Wake Up Call? What are your questions about social media? So you don't necessarily have to start with a challenge group if you don't want. You guys can throw a group in of your PS coaches and work together because it's also going to be, like I've always said, the best coaches are the best challengers, right? And so it's that skill and that habit of logging and tracking. And so if you haven't done it in the Beachbody app, that's going to be a new skill or habit that you'll want to kind of, you know, build that muscle up. So
the cool thing about the app is it's so seamless and set up to help us succeed that you can literally set a reminder like, Candace, don't forget to log your shake at 12 and it will pop up and I'll be like, oh shit, you know, I almost forgot, because I know when I start bod groups, I forget everything. I forget to go in there. I forget to log. And I'm like, I'm being a terrible challenger. So I think it's going to be really important for us to be like, okay, we just need to focus on being good challengers. What do good challengers do? They just show up, right? Like no matter what. Even if you didn't do your shit for that day, you just show up and you're like, hey, here's my life. This is what happened, right? So that's something that I've had to work on my mindset going into this, because it is going to be uncomfortable. Just like Colleen said, we're learning. It's a learning curve. So I think that as long as we prepare to know that we're maybe going to hate it at first and maybe it's going to be uncomfortable, that I think that as a team, we can definitely figure it out and get a pretty badass group going within the next few months. We just have to get in the flow, right? And embrace the suck of learning something new and opening up to, you know, it being different.
And I will say too, anytime we do something different or new, and even if we weren't switching from Facebook to bod groups, this comment stands on its own, but if you want people to show up with you like your client as your clients, and if you want your coaches to show up, you kind of have to do that too, you know? And guys, if you don't work out for the day, you have to remember wellness is just like Candace said, wellness is such a large range. I meditated today. I took a breath today. I took a bath today. Like I slowed down today. What did you do today? The idea is literally to show up, lean in, and bring the energy from here to here and say, people, I'm here for you. And so I told my challenge group, I said, I had to let go of being the hardcore fitness girl I used to be for this current little mini season of my life, as I can barely breathe. Like this week, I'm not going to be the gung ho. I'm not running. I feel like I'm not being a good coach, but that's some bullshit story that I was telling myself. I'm like, I can be a badass coach by showing up, and I'm completely changing my diet, my mindset, my breath work. Like, what am I doing? And so I just want to remind you, because I've had a couple behind the scenes conversations with some rock stars on this team. And they're like, Colleen, I'm in the thick of it. I'm like, girl, me too. Here's how we show up in the thick of it. Okay. People don't want to see the perfect fitness coach, because guess what? Most people right now are living in chaos. I mean, I think it's great to be an example. I'm just saying, in the moments where you feel like, I'm in a funk, or I'm falling off, or I got hurt or sick, I didn't work out this week. Like, don't feel like you failed, because you didn't, right? Like you only fail when you don't show up. So find how you will show up for your people. Okay, anything else for bot groups, Candace, that you wanted to share? Well, I think Candace is frozen. Maybe I'm frozen. I don't know. Okay, there she is. You were frozen for a second. All right. Okay, I gotta get to my list, because I was like, I had to pick what we were going to chat about. I know we're going to do mindset. Okay, I think that this would be a good segue to go into talking about mindset. So Lindsay Matway, her topic was becoming a masterpiece. And why can't I think of the masterpiece, Candace? What was it? What was the sculpture? Like Leonardo da Vinci or something. Who's like the sculptor? I'm having a brain fart.
You're asking me.
I was, yeah, for when Lindsay Matway started talking. She started her entire talk talking about, I'm probably making this up, Leonardo da Vinci. He was the sculpture. And so when you first start making a sculpture, it's a big slab of cement or clay or whatever it is that they're chipping away at. And so you go into it as a sculptor with a vision. You have this big square of a slab, but you know at the end where it's going to end up, because you have this vision. And you have to start by just chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. And I loved that analogy, because that's exactly what we do as coaches. Chipping away the fears, the insecurities, the worries, the concerns, the lack of confidence every single day. This is why we're saying show up in whatever way you can, for yourself and for your business, for everyone watching you, because every chisel and every chip that you're doing, this is how you become the person that you need to become, so that you are someone who can handle the pressure. So you are someone who feels like you can flow through chaos a little bit more. And so don't feel like, I'm working so hard, I'm not getting anywhere. Every single day that you're applying yourself to improve your personal life and your business and to help other people, you're creating that end design, that end sculpture, because you have a vision. But don't forget that the vision and the final product comes at the end. And I think sometimes it's so hard to see, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. And it's so far, I'm so defeated, so I'm going to stop chipping. And I love that, because it's like, I feel like that's the only way I get through my day, is what can I do to make a little chip today? A little chip. And so 7 years down the road, I see all the little chips that I've made day by day. And that's how I've been able to get here. And I'm still not even close to like my big picture vision. And so Lindsay was reminding us, what labels have you given yourself that hold you back? What skills do you need to learn that you haven't learned yet? I oftentimes think there are so many talented coaches that I see that haven't done a What is Coaching webinar, that haven't gone live in a Facebook group, that haven't done a Rise to Emerald or led a power hour. So like, and these are some vital skills that you guys will need to learn. It's not like, give me all the people and all the coaches that want to join my team and then I'll lead them. It's more like, you have to start practicing the things that you need to learn and shape yourself and be able to, this waiting room is driving me nuts. Be able to handle the pressure once you have the team. And so start practicing those skills. So what stories are you telling yourself, and what cop-outs? I love that she talked about that, because I found myself doing a cop out, like, oh, well, I can't really work out right now, so how can I show up in my challenge group? Like, it really gets me down when I feel like I can't show up as the best me. So I'm rewriting that narrative, rewriting that story. She closed everything by saying, it's our job as coaches and as leaders to light the path and show by example. And so in your most challenging moments, please make sure that you show up for yourself, for your community, and don't be an island. I know it's easier to do that than it is to lean in and ask questions, ask for help, just say I'm having a day, but here's what I'm doing about it. Know that by you lighting the path for yourself, you're also lighting the path for everyone else around you. That's how we get strength and inspiration from other people. And so bringing that energy, even when you don't have the energy from, sometimes you go from here to here, you know, sometimes it's not like this massive jump as you're lighting the path and showing up for other people. But I mean, if there's anyone that inspires me on the daily, it's Lindsay Matway. She's just always showing up by example, and she shares the mess, but she always shares what she's doing about it. Did you want to share anything on that side of things, Candace?
No, I didn't write any notes on that.
That's okay. I'm literally just looking at my notes with, I only wrote a little section for her just chipping away. And Candace was like, do you want to chip away with me? I'm like, 100% and always. Because it's really what it is, you know? In some seasons, there's some big fat chunks that you chip off, and other seasons, there's smaller chunks, right? Please accept that that is okay. It's still a chip. It's still a chunk that you're taking off. And if you're a go-getter, sometimes it's that ego that makes you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not succeeding enough. Know that a chip is still a chip. Celebrate all of it.
You know, something real quick I wanted to add that Victoria and I were talking about last night is that never feeling like you're doing enough mindset, and something that helped to one of those people, because I remember showing Colleen my planner and my to-do list as a new coach. I think I threw them all away. They were filled with what I needed to do from top to bottom, and she was like, whoa, like, you need to calm down. That's way too much stuff that you're expecting of yourself each day. And then I'm looking at it and only focusing on all the things I didn't get done. So over the years, I've flipped that mindset, because, you know, Victoria and I were talking about how she feels like, you know, I'm never doing enough, never doing enough. And it's, you have to almost like do an audit of your day every day in the evening and just say, okay, what did I do? And then don't discredit the little things that you think are unimportant, but they are important. Like, you know, if you fed yourself healthy meals, like, that's a big deal. You know, that counts. If you were able to get up and you didn't exercise, like, write it down and just start taking notice of all the things that you do get done. And we have to stop berating ourselves for all the things that we didn't do, because that doesn't feel good. And that doesn't motivate me to wake up tomorrow and crush it when I'm like, this is all the shit I didn't get done. And then it seems like this huge pile of things that I didn't do. I'm just slapping onto this huge list of things I need to do tomorrow. Honestly, it just makes me feel better. Like, oh, okay, yeah. And then you read over the list and you're like, oh, I did do a lot. Like, that is a lot. Even if it's not what I thought it was going to be, I still accomplished things. So I just wanted to add that, because I was that person, and it came up last night in Victoria and my chat. So I'm sure other people feel that way too. It just feels better to look and see, even if they're not relevant to coaching at all, that you still are doing things. You know, we're just not counting them for some reason. We're just really good at that, at looking at our, you know, our faults instead of our successes. So we have to kind of retrain our brain. So whoever needed to hear that.
I don't know if Candace was going to talk about this at all, but I feel like this is, so Jay Shetty, if you guys haven't listened to any of his podcasts, or I'm reading his book, I bought it as soon as he finished his presentation. Think Like a Monk is his newest book, and he is so amazing. He shared a lot about, so his whole life mission is to teach people how to have their best year ever. And it was so fitting for us to be at leadership and closing out the year going into a new year. And of course, fitting that it's 2020. And I mean, he talked about 4 steps. I'm not going to go through all the steps or anything, but he did talk about 4 steps to creating your best year yet. And I just highlighted some of the things that really stood out to me. And the first thing that he said was pain plus reflection equals progress. So I'll say that again. Pain plus reflection equals progress. And someone asked, how do I let go of pain? And if you guys know who Monica Lopez is, she lost her younger sister to suicide this year, and it was just heart-wrenching to watch this whole thing happen. And obviously she has pain. She is hurting. And so I love that she asked the question, how do you let go of pain? And he said, you get close to it. And so it's perfect when we think about like everyone. I'm looking at all the faces on this call, and I know a lot of your stories. I talk to a lot of you. Some of you hide from me and don't want to talk to me. That's okay too. I'm here for you, but know that so pain plus reflection equals progress. When you take away reflection, you just have pain. There's no progress. And so I know that it's so easy to look at like what's not, just like Candace was saying, what I didn't do, what's not going well, what's not happening in my life. And so I think if you get close to that pain, give yourself the chance to be self-reflective, be self-aware. And this is what he talked about. And I think it's awesome that we're coaches and our job is to focus on ourselves and wellness. Because he said, before you go and have the best year of your life, before you can even come up with a plan and set goals and say you want to do all these things and say goodbye to 2020 or crush the end of the year, first we have to talk about you. And he said, when he felt, it was 3 years ago, he was struggling writing new books and stuff like that. And he's like, I was so frustrated and I felt pain. I wanted to feel progress. And he said, I decided to up my investment in myself in his wellness game. And that's literally what we do as coaches. We now have morning meditations. We have nighttime meditations. We have these communities. We have these groups. And he said that the 3 C's of transformation are coaching. So having someone coaching you, which every single face on this page has someone coaching them or someone that can. The second one is consistency. That's why I say don't ghost, don't be an island even when it's hard. Keep showing up for yourself, show up for the communities, and the last is community. So as you're planning to have your best year yet, pain plus reflection equals progress. Get close to that pain. And if you're looking to have that transformational experience, either use the coaching that you have with Beachbody Coaching here with your friends and your mentors, or hire a life coach, therapy, any type of mentorship and guidance and support. Sometimes the Beachbody community isn't enough for certain things. That's why I go to therapy. That's why I talk about it. That's why I preach it. You know, do you guys know how good it feels to talk to someone for an hour that is not judging you or telling you you're right or wrong or anything? Like, we all need someone like that in our life, right? It's been so amazing for me to watch myself and my friends transform by getting that coaching, being consistent, and staying a part of this community. So, Candace, what did you take away from Jay as he was talking about?
Something on what you were just saying, something that he said stood out to me. He said, when we struggle, we fail to take the time out to reflect. And I really like that. In my opinion, I interpreted that as when I struggle, I'm just sitting there on a hamster wheel of struggle, right? And I failed to pause and be like, okay, like, let me just reflect. And to me, that means, where have I come from? What have I already accomplished? What have I, already done? How far have I come? And then it makes this current struggle that I'm in seem a little less intense because, okay, like, I've done things before, I can surely do it again, rather than being on that hamster wheel of I'm struggling. So I'll say it again because I really enjoyed that quote. When we struggle, we fail to take time out to reflect. I think it's important just to pause and reflect. And I think it grounds us a little more. And then we have a better, clearer mind to move forward with a plan, if that makes sense. One other thing I loved, let's see. Oh, he talks about inspiration, and I loved the way that he used eating food as an analogy to inspiration. So basically he said, have you ever woke up and in the line of work that we're in coaching, we feel a certain pressure to be inspiring, be inspiring. And you're like, how can I be inspiring if I'm not inspired? I'm just not inspired today. Like, I know I've been there. I'm sure we all have. I'm just not inspired today. He compares it to eating. He said we have to feed our inspiration daily, Just like we eat. You wouldn't eat a meal and be like, I'm hungry today, but I ate a couple days ago. Why the fuck am I hungry? Why am I hungry? I ate a couple days ago. And it's so like the same thing, right? Like we have to feed our inspiration in order to feel that way, just like we have to feed ourselves when we're hungry to not be hungry. Like we constantly have to feed it. And I love, he said something that helps him kind of start his day right is he keeps his favorite quote by his bedside table. And I know for me, I had a favorite quote and I can't remember what it was, but I framed it and I hung it up on my door in my RV, and it stayed there for like 4 years until we slammed the door once and it fell off and broke and we just threw it away, right? But I forgot to replace it. And you forget how impactful those small things are when you wake up and you read that. You're programming your brain, right? Like you're feeding your inspiration subconsciously, even if you don't realize you're doing it, you're reading it. So I love the idea of just finding something that like empowers you and just putting it right by your bed. So when you wake up and you roll over to hit your alarm or whatever you do, wherever you look, you see it and you're like, oh, and you're already feeding your inspiration from day one. Not just for coaching and just for the sake of posting, but it just feels better to wake up in that type of mindset or just be inspired in general in life. And, you know, everything that I say is obviously not just for coaching and to be awesome at business, but to feel good as a human. You know, I feel better. I like the way that I look better. I have this energy about me when I'm inspired. Like I was reading this morning that Marie Forleo, Everything is Figure Outable book. It's the assignment that's in my group this month, and I can't put it down. And every time I read it, I feel differently and I see myself in the mirror and I look differently. And I don't know if anyone's ever noticed the way that you carry yourself when you're filling your mind with things that empower you and make you feel like, yeah, inspired, right? You look differently. You show up differently. You glow differently. You act differently in your relationships, and the way that you act and all of that just overflowing flows into the lives of everyone around you and everyone that you talk to. And it's not just for coaching, it's for, you know, my marriage, for me being a better daughter, you know, like everything. So I think that's an extremely important thing. And it's such a tiny little simple tweak that we can make, you guys. That's what blows my mind, is it's so easy. Like we could all write our favorite quote and go stick it on our bedside table, which we should do. That should be our action item for this call, is to just find a quote that empowers us and write it and put it next to your bedside table, and we'll see how we feel differently, right? Like it will make a difference. Okay, so inspiration needs to be fed daily. We get that. I already said that. When the energize kicks in.
I do want to say something if you're done on your list, Candace, or whenever you're done.
No, go ahead. I'm reading my notes. Perfect timing.
Okay, cool. Well, I just got out of the shower and I was like a lunatic listening to you guys in the shower going, yes, 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 yes. Because I can't even breathe. I'm like, calm down. I'm like passion sweating. I need to go shower again. Because I have so many things to say. I wish I had like a whiteboard in the shower.
I am so sweaty right now. Just I'm so excited talking about this. I'm sweating behind my knees. It's dripping.
Yeah, my heart's pounding. I can't get it out fast enough. So I just want to just say whatever's on my head so I don't forget it. But I'm in the process of creating affirmation cards, but I'm also in the process of continuing to affirm myself with these affirmations and not lamenting our failures and literally giving ourselves permission to celebrate that success. Like Candace said, we're so used to, I didn't get this done. And I love Candace set the example to do your done list and celebrate those little successes every day and what you are getting done. Like I washed my sheets yesterday. I put the sheets on the bed. I cut celery. Like if you're showing up, pouring into you, I know you guys are laughing, but it's true. Some people, you're going to leave laundry in there for days. And it's it happens. How many times did I turn the sheets on? I'm like, Justine goes, put your sheets on the fucking bed. I'm like, wait, but the dishes and then this and then this. And then it's 11 o'clock at night and the sheets still aren't on the bed. And she's like, pause, gotta exit what I'm doing because I'm a lunatic because I'm shaking. I'm like, because I'm filling up my inspiration cup. So this whole affirmation thing, I've always been a fan of affirmations and reaffirming how far I've come. And look how far we've all come. Imagine if this year's chaos didn't happen, whatever perspective you have on it, we wouldn't be the human being that we are today if whatever didn't happen and trigger all of these things. And I was thinking about that last night and I'm like, holy shit, through chaos is discomfort and change and leadership, and businesses are born and people are pivoting. It's like you're either crumbling under the pressure or you're becoming a fucking diamond and figuring it out. And we've all had our challenges and our hard this year. I mean, Colleen's year has been crazy. My year has been effing crazy. Like, we're not here to compare, but it's like sometimes our ego and our brain do that, but that's when we have to, again, affirm. We have a lifetime of fucking proof, you guys, that we are here, that we have handled our hard, and that we continue to show up. And it's like, this is a really easy time, myself included, to become an island. Sun is setting earlier, it's getting colder, seasons are changing. I do not do well in winter and cold, and it's just really easy to dip out from the things that fill you up and inspire you. But this is the moment where we need to lean in more and create more moments of intentional joy. So like Candace said, like, what are we doing to fill our inspiration cup up? And even if it's as silly and simple as singing, rapping, dancing, these are all things like we're creating the energy. No matter what's going on outside of us, I'm my constant. I am my fucking control center. No matter what. Everything that I need is from within. And it's literally taken me 6 years in chaos and crumbling and everything exploding, literally, like my whole, it doesn't even matter. Again, don't lament your failures. It doesn't matter why I am where I am today. All that matters is that I'm forward focused on how I want to feel, and letting that foundation of failures affirm me and fill my confidence cup up is what it is. It's an ego blow. Every time something happens or you fail, it's an ego blow. And my mantra book today said, I give myself permission to succeed. And I was like, holy shit, are they calling me out? Because we're so used to like failing. And like, yes, we have to fail forward for that success. But it's like, I said to Erica today, I can feel my anxiety rising because somebody else sent me an affirmation deck, and it was cheaper and more beautiful and hand painted. And I was like, well, who the fuck am I to charge this? Who am I to do this? And I was like, pump the brakes. Like, and Erica was like, your tribe is completely different than this other lady. Like, you have, boom, affirm. You have so many people. I'm getting like emotional because it's like, it's just like, it's real life stuff. And it's like, we're constant works in progress. And it's just years of affirming and reminding myself, like, holy shit, I do have this squad of women that believe in me and fill my cup up just as much as I fill their cup up. So it's like, find those practices, those daily quotes, those affirmations, those things that literally create the energy and the high vibe. That's all this is energy. How are you the energy? No matter what chaos is going around you. Like I said, I literally am my control center. I figured that out. Anything that adds to my world, and it sounds terrible, anything outside of me is irrelevant, because anything outside of me is out of my control. And anything that adds to your source of happiness outside of you is a beautiful bonus that keeps you high vibe and staying on that wavelength. Like, you're human, your kids, it's a reason to align, when in reality, we are the only reason that's going to be continuous and constant, and everything else is a beautiful bonus. And it's a weird perspective to look at it like that, because it sounds like I don't need you, but it's like, no, how beautiful that you can create your own constant. What if something happens? You know what I mean? Things are always fucking changing, you guys. That's what life is, unfortunately, and we have to pivot into positivity. And I love Friends, so I'm always thinking, pivot, and it just, again, it lights me up. What is something that can light you up? A quote, a saying, a movie. I mean, my whole room, it looks like a crazy scene. That's all affirmations on my whiteboard up there. Affirmations, like, just everywhere. I'm constantly talking to myself. I'm constantly affirming myself. And I just have these habits that have allowed me to remain my control center and feel high vibe. And that's not to say that you can't have bad days. This is an ebb and flow, life and business. Like, you still have to create the energy, whether it's for your life or Beachbody. If you don't have energy, Like, how are you going to invite? How are you going to feel confident going into a conversation? If I had like shitty energy, how is I going to sell these affirmation decks? Hey guys, these decks are pieces of shit. This woman on Amazon is doing them cheaper and hers are hand painted. Like, that's not confident. I'm going into it knowing that these people believe in me and I believe in myself, and I'm creating the energy. And everybody that I've talked to, the messages that I've got since last Thursday is like, what Kool-Aid did you drink? What are you on? Because my energy, it's been a weird year, you know? We're ebbing and flowing, and there's been times of darkness and chaos, and we're gonna get lost, but that's where it's knowing those habits, music, movement, workouts, these communities, everything that keeps us 100, that's when you lean in instead of dipping out. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
I was just going to say that.
Holy shit.
I had something I wanted to add to that. Like, it goes perfectly. Something Jay Shetty said, I think towards the end, he said, you can give more to others when you give to yourself. And I think it's so relevant to what we've been talking about. You can give more to others when you give to yourself. Like, we all know this, but it's just a nice reminder, right?
I don't know how we forgot to even talk about Glennon Doyle too, right? So a lot of people have read Untamed this year. Glennon Doyle is, okay, so you like read her book. She's such a badass. You know her story. And then she gets on this Zoom, and she's totally not what you expect. Like, you have in your mind what this person's going to be like. And she was this cute little tiny, like, had this awesome leopard dress on, big curly blonde hair, and she was just so light spoken and just the cutest little, I could hang out with her all day. And you know what's crazy is she explained our life as like a snow globe. And she said most times people are consistently shaking their own snow globe. And it's so messy in there, and it is snowing every day. And then the snow settles, and we just have to shake that snow globe again. We just can't have it pretty and snow on the ground. We always have to keep shaking it. And she said, COVID made us stop and look at the truth for a lot of people. It made us stop and look at how we were so busy, distracted, not doing priorities before, that now that we had to slow down, family things were happening, relationships, like parenting, work. I mean, the real truth came out. And she said people are dealing with stuff for the first time ever. And it really showed a lot of us, even for myself, even though like I do all this self-help work, COVID for me was like the least of my worries. I had personal stuff going on in my life that was mind-blowing. And it really did feel like I was dealing with stuff for the first time in my life. I'm someone who will never sweep things under the carpet. I've got to take care of them and handle them because it's exhausting to carry that shit around. But one of the things that she said about, because we've all been saying it's like the apocalypse, right? And she shared what the word apocalypse means. I think of zombies running down the street with blood pouring out of their eyes when I think of apocalypse and like weird stuff happening. But apocalypse actually means revealing, which I think is so, like, again, it's that mindset shift. You could think of why can I say the word apocalypse with zombies running down the street and you're like, hell no, I want no part of that. Or if I said I'm revealing, you're like, okay, I'm a little bit more interested. And so it's consistently learning what these things mean to us. And forced stillness equals uprisings. So everything that was going on with George Floyd, everything that was going on with COVID and the politics and everything, this forced stillness absolutely brought so many uprisings this year. And so everything that we're talking about is just hopefully a tool in your tool belt to know, A, you're not alone. B, the 3 C's of transformation are coaching, get yourself some coaching, or use the coaching that's available to you. Cough, cough, every Monday National Wake Up Call, cough, cough, every coffee chat. And now hopefully Wednesday, Wisdom Wednesdays that we'll be doing. And she also said that balance is bullshit. How many times have you heard in the coaching world, how do you balance it all? She's like, balance is bullshit. So think of juggling balls, trying to balance. And she's like, I drop balls all the time. And you pick it back up and you keep juggling. And so she's like, I quit every day at 8 p.m. She's like, I wake up, I crush my day, I do all the things. And she's like, by 8 p.m., I quit. I don't want anything to do with activism because she has a big organization to help I think women get help for homelessness and things that they need for their families. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what her nonprofit is. She's an author. She's a speaker. She does all the things, right? She has kids. She has a big story to tell, but she's like, every day at 8 p.m., I freaking quit. And I sit on my couch with a glass of wine and I watch Netflix. But then in the morning when I get up, you bet I go to it. 8 p.m., I quit. And I was like, I love that. Because in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I almost felt like if I was resting and giving myself a break, and if I wasn't hustling, I'm not doing this right. And so balance is bullshit. Drop your balls, pick them back up, and just keep going. She said, I like the word rhythm. Candace, you kept asking me, like, what word did she replace with balance? And I guess I'm looking at my notes, and rhythm. What rhythm are you going to create in your life rather than balance?
I love her chat about disappointment, and that it's important that you disappoint people, because if we're not, then we are appointing other people to like almost be in control of our lives, and we will never be happy if we are trying to live for other people and constantly worrying about not disappointing other people. She used the language that by being overly worried about disappointing people, we are by default appointing them to be in charge of our lives. Therefore, that leaves us unhappy, and we have to reappoint ourselves back in charge of our lives by disappointing people. Like disappoint. It's a weird word. Like when she breaks it down, we have to disappoint them because they're not appointed to control our lives and make the decisions for us. And she's like, disappoint your friends, disappoint your family, especially disappoint your parents. Like they're not. And it's just like the way that she says it, it's not a bad thing. It's just taking back control of my life by not being so worried about if I'm disappointing someone, because it's my life and I want to appoint myself to be in charge of it. So I'm happy in the day, not so my mom's happy, like she needs to go be happy with her life, not mine. Right. Like, and I just absolutely love that, because she had a chat with her daughter. And her daughter's like, well, am I supposed to disappoint you, Mom? And she was like, absolutely, all the time. Absolutely, you have to. Or you're never going to be truly, following the path of your life. So I really thought that was powerful, because I had a negative connotation towards the word disappoint. Because in my head, that means like I let them down. And like there's a difference between, and now I think disappointing someone and letting them down are two different things to me, right? So I don't know how better else to explain that, but I just thought that was extremely powerful.
And what's funny is like when she said that, I was like, no, well, my husband can't disappoint me. No, absolutely not. He is not allowed to disappoint me, like joking in my head. But I was like really kind of playing around with that one, like how, okay, well, I'm supposed to disappoint others, but can they disappoint me, And so you just have to like kind of ask yourself where you sit with those kind of thought processes. There's only one other thing I wanted to share that I thought was really good. And it's how Jay Shetty was talking about inexperience is not weakness. It's not a block. And so doubt exists because we don't know something. So for example, if you have doubts about diamond, it could just be that you just don't really understand what diamond is. You might not even understand why is diamond important. You might not understand how the genealogy works or how your compensation plan works. And so anytime that you have a little ounce of doubt, if you have inexperience with something, just know that doubt exists because we don't know something. So go learn something. He taught us this strategy of setting goals. And he said, the question isn't just how do I get to my goal? Diamond, star diamond, 5-star diamond, earning $200 a week, whatever your goal is, right? The question isn't just how do I get to my goal? It's what skills and tools do we have to leave behind, the old ones, and what new ones do we have to take on? So when I first started my business, the example I can give you is my goal was to not set an alarm. My goal was to not have to get up and to not have a schedule. My life has shifted now, so has my family dynamic, and I have new goals, and I'm creating a new me. For me, when I don't set an alarm and when I don't get up and I don't do things that are filling me up as a person and I get behind on my day, that's not helping me hit my goals. And so my old skill of not having to set an alarm and not having a schedule, didn't serve me anymore. And it caused more chaos, especially with becoming a mom. It was a shit show. And so the question about the question about goals isn't just what do I need to get there? It's what skills and tools do we have to leave behind, and what new ones do I have to take on? And so when he was saying all this, I was just like dreaming up of all the coaches that I know have so much talent and passion and excitement that are going to lead the new coach training, that are going to probably poop their pants because they've never done a live video before and never led a training. But all they have to do is be willing to show up and learn something with us, right? We're going to be there with you guys. Or I'm thinking about all these new coaches that haven't really talked on their stories yet. And it's a skill they haven't learned yet. And they're going to get uncomfortable and soon be comfortable. Like, that's why I try to share my social media with you guys from the beginning, because, oh my God, it's really bad. So be willing to learn and know that inexperience is not a weakness. So just know, like, if you haven't done something, it's not a weakness. You just have to go learn something. All right. I have so many notes I could share, but Candace, is there any other thoughts you wanted to share?
No, I think I hit all my points. Oh, there was something, I don't remember who said this, but I really liked it. She said, what if we shifted our mindset, instead of trying to avoid the storm, we look for the lesson instead? And I feel like that can be applied to a lot of things that we go through. Instead of trying to avoid, the hard stuff, what if we just looked for the lesson instead?
I think it was Matt Way.
Yep.
Okay, and I will close with, do you guys all know Kim Carver? If you don't, one day you will. Kim is such a special soul, and he really, truly unlocked the emotional connection that I have at Beachbody. Do you guys know how many Super Saturdays I've cried at, like, telling stories, and people are like, what is this psycho doing? My emotional attachment to corporate, because I know everyone, and just how good they are. Like, I always saw corporate as like, ew, corporate, bad. And these corporate people literally live, sleep, eat, breathe for us as coaches. And it's so touching, specifically because Kim's a dad, and he just reminded me a lot of my dad. And every single time he gets on stage with Beachbody, he tells a story. And they have all shaped my life in huge ways. So I wanted to share, it'll probably take me just a minute to share how he kicked off his talk for leadership. He said, there was a dad with his daughter who was going through some troubles in life, and he put 3 pots of water on the stove and got them all boiling. He grabbed a potato, an egg, and some coffee, and he put a potato on one, an egg in another, and coffee in the third pot. And they started boiling. And when it was all done, he told his daughter to take out the potato and said, what does it feel like? And she's like, it's squishy. She took out the egg. What is it like? It's hard. Take out the coffee. Well, the coffee beans now become coffee. She's like, it's coffee. And he's like, right. But notice that there was 3 pots of water, all boiled. We put the potato in, and the potato becomes soft and weak. Then we put the egg in, and it became hard. Put the coffee in, and it went from coffee grounds to coffee that you drink. And what's crazy is we get to choose which one we're going to be. When the water gets hot, are you going to choose to become soft and weak? Or are you going to become hard and scaly and angry and resentful, like the egg? The hard represents that. And then the coffee goes from coffee grounds to something else. Are you going to change the situation? So notice how we can all be in the same pot of boiling water, but some of us become a potato, some of us become an egg, and some of us become the coffee, which is where you change the situation. So high five to coffee, because that's the one that we want. We're looking at this pot of boiling water, and we can become something else. When shit hits the fan, you get to choose. And I just think that will stick in my mind forever. Today, am I the potato, the egg, or the coffee? I always want to be the coffee anyway, because coffee's yummy. But I just love his stories because they're so illustrative and so true. How we can all be in the same situation. And you see some people, that was my biggest goal with PD as a new coach. I watched people go through the craziest shit I'd ever seen, the hardest things, and build this business. It looked like ease to me. It looked like with grace to me. But really, it was just their mindset and the way that they looked at every situation, and they became aware of that. And that was the best skill I taught myself. So that's my ending for you guys. So thank you for sharing, Janelle and Candace. It was always so nice to see you guys. I'm going to start to think of some content to share and do with you guys for November. And yeah, I think we'll end on that note. All right, guys.
Hey,
happy Tuesday.
Don't forget the action to do the quote that we're putting by our beds. I'll do a graphic in the team page.
Okay, yes, please do. I have mine right here. This is mine. I made it up. When it rains, it pours, but I can still flow through the storm. And I left this in my office because my mom got really upset. She was like embarrassed that she fell and broke her hand. She thinks like she ruined my week somehow, even though it's like her hand. And I like put this here to hold, but so she could see it. And I was like, shit hits the fan, it's pouring, but I can still choose to flow through the storm. So I love it. All right, guys. Love you long time. See you guys later.